Welcome to Amazing People, episode number 2. I'm here with Gerren Sprauve. Gerren is a entrepreneur in Orlando. He runs a janitorial services company. He moved here how long ago?
In 2001.
In 2001, 16 years ago, and began a cleaning services company, which has now become very successful. I personally am a big fan of Gerren, not just because he's always helpful and encouraging to me, but because he's really uplifting and motivating. He treats his employees with a lot of respect, and there's a lot that people can learn from him. So, anything to add?
What he said. That's about it.
So, moving into it, can you tell me about the beginning of Clean Slate Janitorial Services, your company?
Yeah, sure. So we started back in 2006, and well, it started out of pain. You know, a lot of people complain about, not being happy on their jobs and not being into what they're doing and so forth. And my wife and I, we were coming home every night and crying, literally crying. And in the mornings when we woke up and it was time to go into work, if you can imagine, two people laying on the bed with a pillow and we're looking at each other like, I don't want to go into work today, and at some point we said, this has to stop. And if some other events took place, which I'll tell you about later on, which prompted me to select cleaning as the choice. And here we are, 12 or so years later. Yeah.
So how do you, I mentioned that you're really good at handling employees. So what do you feel about your employees? What's the importance of the word thank you? How do you recognize them? What's important about them?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you asked that question. So thank you, the word thank you. That was one of the things that really kicked off Clean Slate. And I've mentioned this to several people, where in the beginning I was taking my wife out to dinner to have a nice dinner at night, and the guy who was cleaning down the table, he's wiping that table down, trying to set things up and put things in place and so forth. And we're standing there and he wouldn't look up at me. So he's just wiping it down, setting it up, and he's ready to go. And as he turns to walk off, I said, "Excuse me, sir, thank you." And he looks at me, he's like, well, why would you say that? I said, well, you didn't just clean down the table, you prepared a place for my wife and I to have dinner. So thank you. And he started to smile. He's like, I did all of that? I said, yeah. And from there, he took off to the next table and he's like wiping it down with a smile, and he's looking up and he's cleaning and he's fixing things up. And I said, I want to do that again. And that is what prompted me to begin this whole journey of building a business, bringing on employees, people that I could talk to, I could mentor, I could learn from, the whole nine. So when some people look at me and they ask, well, who's your competitor? And I know a lot of people tend to say, well, you should have competitors. I guess I do, but my reason for being in business really isn't about cleaning. It's about people. So that's what drives everything that I do.
What makes you different than another owner of a similar company?
I can't answer that question. People have to answer that question. It's like someone can sit down and brag on themselves all day long, but if the people who are working with them don't feel that way, then is it really true? So I do what I do. I take care of people in the way that I do, and there are many ways in which I can improve on, but I do what I do with what I know today, and people then tell me how that impacts them. So for instance, one of my employees or someone, they are an employee now, yeah. I remember in the interviewing process with this one young lady, just from the beginning of the interview, the onset of it, she stopped me and she said, like, why do you care? Why are you asking me all these questions? And no one has ever asked me these questions before in an interview and after I've gotten a job. And I said, well, I want to ensure that it's a good fit. I want to ensure that we're good for you and that you're good for us. Doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't that be fair? And she said, yeah, but nobody's ever asked me those kind of questions. And from there, once she came on board, she knew exactly why she was coming on board. It wasn't just a job for her. It was about all those different things that she said she needed to accomplish. And the fact that we were going to hold her accountable for accomplishing those things. Every day she comes in to work with that purpose, and she's working towards that. And I always check in, hey, how are we doing? I'm here. Okay, what do you need next? And then we move forward from that. So that's what I get out of what I do. It isn't about that toilet brush and a bowl.